Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. So today we're going to be tackling one of the decks that was probably arguably most affected by the recent ban list change, and that is going to be Adventure Prank-Kids. We are here with our Season 9 build for the infamous Prank-Kids deck. So Prank-Kids, as we are all, quite well aware, dominated the Duelist Cup. Well, they didn't quite dominate necessarily, but they were one of the prominent decks, shall we say, featured in the Duelist Cup recently. Oops, sorry about that. Bumped the desk there. Yeah, prominently featured in the recent Duelist Cup, and honestly, they were just shaping up to be one of the top decks of the whole format, as we saw on the Master Duel meta tier list. They were dominating the tournament scene over there. We saw them all the time on Ranked Ladder. Saw them, again, a fair amount in the Duelist Cup as well. And yeah, just we're seeing them all over the place. So the limit to Meow Meow 1, or Meow Meow Moo 2-1 rather, does make a lot of sense in retrospect, right? And not even just in retrospect, it made sense going into it as well. I did see a lot of people say that Meow Meow Moo would be outright banned. I did think it was a little more likely for it to go to 1 just because of the that's how they limited it in Japan, and Master Duel does seem to follow the OCG tier list a little bit more closely than the TCG one, although it is still, of course, very much its own beast. So, with Meow Meow Moo going to 1, what does that change about Adventure Prank-Kids? Well, when it comes to the turn 1 setup, honestly, initially it doesn't really change that much. We're still doing the same turn 1 line, going for a Battle Butler with 1 Prank Kid, or with 2 Prank Kids. We set up the Rip Roar and Roaster, as well as the access to the Battle Butler on the opponent's turn as well. The main thing that's going to change is the follow-up, right? Because in the past, one of the things that kind of made Adventure Prank-Kids so strong was that it could just follow up with the same line again on the next turn if you got disrupted, or if you had your Battle Butler interrupted somehow, you could still follow up with another Prank-Kids line right away. If you're playing a second Battle Butler, you can even just go for another Battle Butler, but even if not, you could still set up like more than enough link materials to go to like an access code or something. But now with only 1 Meow Meow Moo, once that's in the graveyard, I mean, you could recycle that in theory with Pranks, but if you've banished it particularly for the Battle Butler effect, then you're not going to be able to really reuse your Meow Meow Moo for the rest of the game. So that means that for the rest of the game, 1 Prank Kid by itself is no longer like the start of a play, right? You're going to have another card to be able to kind of play with it. So that is something to be very mindful of as you're playing Prank Kids moving forward. It's really easy to think that it's not that big of a change because you're still doing the same setup turn 1. But how you play it moving forward from there is going to be particularly important. So that's one of the bigger changes. Obviously, that's the biggest change to note about the new Prank Kids deck. It's not a new deck, of course, but the new kind of style, I guess, of playing Prank Kids. It's funny because, like, on the surface, like, yeah, not that much has changed, but again, just the way that you play out the course of many games, just thinking about, like, again, games where we open Meow Meow Moo, set up Battle Butler, and that's fine, we win. Of course, we still have our fair share of those, but you gotta be thinking about those other games as well. Of course, another big change to the deck is the limits to the DPE engine. Fusion Destiny is now at 1, and then with Celestial Band, we are now playing Destiny Hero Denier alongside Dasher. I have seen people suggest that Malicious plus Denier is the way to go, playing 2 Malicious, the Fusion Destiny and the Denier, and I think that can be right for certain decks. I think for Adventure Pranks, Denier plus Dasher is probably still the best combo. I haven't done quite enough testing to assert that with 100% authority, but I'm fairly confident that's the case. Denier in general is a pretty good substitute for Celestial, having the ability to recur itself for basically free. And then, of course, the advantage to playing Malicious would then to be able to recur even more bodies. Like you banish Malicious, special Malicious, and you can summon Denier. You can use Denier's effect to take your banished Malicious, put it back on the deck, use your first Malicious, or your Malicious that's on board as a material, like a link material, or just any kind of material for a summon, and then you can even summon another Malicious, and then you've gotten 3 extra summons off of your DPE setup there. So, but again, that's the case if you're running Malicious. I don't think this deck has quite the room for it, nor do I think it has necessarily the extra deck to utilize Malicious as a material that freely. So that's why I think here Denier plus Dasher is the way to go. So we're also playing Thunder Dragon Fusion in the deck once again. This is going to really help pick up the slack of like follow-up plays, right? Now that, again, Meow Meow Moo is at 1, it's kind of harder to have certain follow-up plays, or rather follow-up plays in certain situations. So Thunder Dragon Fusion can certainly make up for that. So I've decided to include it in the deck once more. On top of that, we're playing a third Lampsies again, just to make the Prank-Kids a little bit more consistent, because we have the room, for one, with the changes to the deck via the ban list there. We have the room, a little bit more flexibility, and I thought about putting another piece of disruption, like maybe like a second Nibiru or something, or like a Veiler in addition to our 3 Imperms. We're playing 3 Imperms, by the way, for like Sword Soul Tenny and Adventure Tenny. Pretty much any deck that can afford to play 3 Imperms. I guess it's more accurate to say that decks should probably be playing as many Imperms / Veilers as they can afford to be playing right now. And with Adventure Prank-Kids being, a mostly 1-card combo deck, we can definitely fit the 3 Imperms here. But yeah, like I was about to say too, I wanted to kind of fit in maybe a second Nibiru or another disruption card. I thought about that, but then I ultimately decided that getting the extra Prank-Kids in the deck wasn't a bad idea, just to increase the consistency of our turn 1 plays, not to make us like too reliant or too bogged down by disruption and hand traps and all those fun things there. So let's see, other changes to the build. I think that about covers it. Oh, we're playing a Weather Washer in place of the Meow Meow Moo that got taken out. It's it's still nice to have the option. There are certain scenarios where your play gets disrupted, but you still want to set up a Pandemonium on your opponent's turn. You could potentially still fuse 2 things into a Weather Washer, get the 2 Prank-Kids summons, and then use Weather Washer's effect to get 2 more Prank-Kids. None of them can be destroyed by battle, and then all of a sudden you've got 4 Prank-Kids like moving into your next turn. So that's like a potential line that you can still do, which is why Weather Washer is not a bad addition to the extra deck. Still playing Toadally Awesome as well. This is a card that's kind of like a bit of a flex spot, and I've thought about taking out before, but I think it's still fine to have in the extra deck for the time being. So let's see. I think that's going to pretty much do it for all the changes. Oh, and then I knew there was one more I was trying to think of. We're playing Harpie's Feather Duster now, just because, even though Eldritch did get hit a fair decent bit, I still expect to see a decent bit of it in the on the ladder in general. Again, even though Imperial Order and Vandy's Emptiness got banned and they lost 1 copy of Skill Drain, I think they still play far more than enough Floodgates to function effectively as a deck. And from what I've seen so far during my time laddering here in Season 9, I've seen not like a lot of Eldritches by any means, but I mean, not any less than I would normally see anyway. So I would definitely not expect to see again any less of Eldritch moving forward. So that's why we're including Harpie's, the Harpie's Feather Duster here. So okay, now I think that about covers it. So let's go ahead and break the list down card by card so that we all know what we're all playing here, and then we'll take a look at some games. So we are playing 2 Prank-Kids Fansies, 3 Maxx, 2 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Prank-Kids Lampsies, 1 Destiny Hero Denier, 2 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Prank-Kids Rocksies, 1 Destiny Hero Dasher, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion, 1 Fusion Destiny, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 3 Prank-Kids Place, 1 Prank-Kids Pranks, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Prank-Kids Pandemonium, 1 Crossout Designator, and 3 Infinite Impermanence to round out the main deck. Extra deck will contain 1 Prank-Kids Rocket Ride, 1 Prank-Kids Weather Washer, 1 Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, 1 Prank-Kids Battle Butler, 1 Toadally Awesome, 2 Link Spider, 1 Prank-Kids Meow Meow Moo, 2 Prank-Kids Doodle Do, 1 Prank-Kids Bow Wow Bark, 1 Predaplant Verte Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Prank-Kids Ripcorn Roaster, and then finally, of course, 1 Access Code Talker. Alright, now that again we have covered the deck here, let's now take a look at some games. Alright, first game of the video here is going to be against Heroes. We always love a good bout against Heroes. We're always sad when we have to take them down, though, because, like, I don't know. As always as ever, Heroes are still pretty much just my favorite deck of all time. So we're looking at a really good opening hand here. The Wandering Gryphon Rider, I actually probably should have special summoned it here, because if I got disrupted, it would be really good to have an extra monster to potentially go into, like a, what do you call it? The Verte Anaconda, and then go for a DPE. We do have the Call by the Grave, so the Ash isn't going to affect us too much here, but it still would have been, I think, the proper play to have summoned the Wandering Gryphon Rider there first. So that aside, we have a fairly standard 2 Prank-Kids line here, which is going to result in a Ripborn Roaster set up for a Battle Butler. And then, of course, a whole bunch of other Prank-Kids summoned once that Battle Butler comes out, if things all go according to plan here. So, if you are interested in, knowing what you can do with 1 or 2 Prank-Kids, your opening play is going to vary depending on what, how many you open. If you're curious about how that all plays out, feel free to take a look at the combo guide down in the description below there. I should have it linked there, so... Alright, now we're able to use the Pandemonium here, fusing our remaining 2 Prank-Kids for the Rocket Ride. And it's really nice to have the Maxx in hand as well, of course, as always. Nice to have that extra insurance of disruption going into the opponent's turn. Even though we didn't summon the Gryphon Rider, it's actually going to work out pretty well because we can just banish it for the Rocksies, and then that way we don't have to get rid of the Maxx here. So, yeah, banishing the Gryphon Rider. We get an Ash Blossom, which would actually be normally really, really nice here, but we did also call by an Ash Blossom during this turn, so we're not going to be able to use Ash during the opponent's turn. I'm pretty sure I actually ended up forgetting that here during this game, and I tried to Ash my opponent anyway, from what I recall, but, it is what it is, so... Yep, we're going for the Ripborn Roaster here. Rocket Ride now gets back the Bow Wow Bark and Dodo Do. And then between those 2 cards, we're pretty much going to add the 4 pieces, quote-unquote, we need to make the Battle Butler. Just make sure that you're adding the Pandemonium with the Dodo Do so that you can set it and then use it on the opponent's turn. Obviously, if you just add 2 monsters and add a Pandemonium with Bow Wow Bark during your opponent's next turn, you won't be able to actually summon the Battle Butler because it'll be in your hand and it won't be face down on the field. So... yep, using Bow Wow Bark during the draw phase just to ensure it doesn't get kaiju'd. Stratos comes down. Yeah, I tried to Ash it here, totally spacing on the fact that I had called by an Ash just last turn, so we won't get to negate the search, but whatever, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like we would have been able to use the Ash this turn anyway. Of course, it would have been optimal to save it for, a turn later where we could use it, but, what can you do? So... Battle Butler comes down, Ash fizzles, and Stratos searches for the Vision Hero Ferris here. We will also get the 3 Prank-Kids summons, of course. That is always a welcome addition to summoning the Battle Butler. I'm always, as ever, I'm going to try to go for 2 Dropsies in addition to another Prank-Kid, so that way I can threaten to summon the Toadally Awesome during my next turn, and then keep that up as an Omni-Negate. So that way the opponent won't be able to... Oh, I think I actually misplayed there. I think I searched the wrong thing with... Oh, hang on. Let me see what order I did that in. Because I think I did actually have 2 Dropsies, unless I didn't have 2 Dropsies left in the deck. Oh, no, I didn't. That's why I couldn't get one. Gotcha. Okay. I think... maybe I searched those in the wrong order. I feel like I messed that up somehow. I feel like I should have gotten the 3rd Prank-Kid there, but... I kind of went by too quick. I felt like that during the game as well, but I just missed it. I don't know, I guess both during the game and during the replay here. But, either way, our opponent is able to, or rather, we're able to stop our opponent thanks to utilizing the, I believe it was the Ripborn Roaster with the Meow Meow Moo there to get rid of the Vision Hero increase. I did actually forget that it would come back, so I should have technically saved the, well, no, I should have saved Disruption because I took out the face down as well. That was the main thing I was actually looking to hit, but, yeah, no, I wasn't worried about the Vision Hero increase coming back because then I knew I could just go into Verte, make DPE, use DPE to pop the increase, and then I threatened not only the Disruption with the DPE, but also the Battle Butler during my opponent's next turn. Now, the Battle Butler would have to tribute itself again because we already used the Meow Meow Moo, but the Disruption is still being threatened all the same, which is, of course, enough to get our opponent to concede. So, GG's there. Again, we always, love playing against heroes, even if we do unfortunately have to be the ones to defeat them. So, alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Alright, this duel is going to be against Flyanderies. We always love a good game where we take down some burbs there. Yeah, it's funny, Flyanderies was a deck that I thought I was going to be more into, like, before it came out, because I was like, oh, they're cute. And I don't mind playing stun decks. I've played stun decks in the past, but, like, I don't know. It's different in Master Duel when you can, like, actually play whatever you want. It's like... I don't know, I get it. Because I used to be a stun player IRL. Excuse me. I used to be a stun player because that's mostly what I could afford IRL. But yeah, now in Master Duel where you can just like change decks on a whim, it's like, oh, all these fun combo decks. I get it. So, by the way, we threw out the Maxx in response to the Dimensional Fissure there just to make sure that we could get the effect online in case our opponent was going to do any, like, I don't know, banished special shenanigans with, like, Jesus, showing my Yugi Boomer roots here. I want to say like DD Scout Plane was the first thing I thought of with that, but even if there was Sun deck, just throwing out the Maxx just when we can definitely not a bad idea. And I guess I don't know for sure that that's why my opponent stopped their play altogether, but it definitely seems like it was a at least somewhat likely reason. So we definitely love to see that here. Now, I do actually... I think I already did screw up here, yeah, because what I should have done was set up the Draco back on the token earlier to bounce the Dimensional Fissure before I linked away the Lampsies. I just totally like spaced on the fact that, you know, Lampsies was going to get banished, and I knew it wasn't going to summon, but I forgot it wasn't going to deal the 500 damage. I was counting on that 500 damage to set up for exact lethal here, because this is 7,500, but it's actually okay because I forgot rather about the Denier as well. And then yeah, as soon as I activate the Denier effect, our opponent concedes there. But yeah, just another really nice thing about Denier. Again, obviously Celestial's Draw 2 is a better effect than Denier bringing itself back, but Denier bringing itself back does open up some new options with the DPE line. Not only in terms of, you know, situations like this where you can just happen to find lethal, but if you're playing a deck like Adventure Phantom Knights, for example, the fact that Denier is level 3 is a very relevant fact for that deck, because it can come back and then you can make some plays with it potentially during that next turn, or you know, even just in general, just being used as a link material. Even for a deck like this, if we needed to for whatever reason, it could be the one extra material we need to go into like Access Code Talker. So that's one reason why I think Denier is just kind of a no-brainer substitute for Celestial there. So yeah, that's going to do it for that game. Yeah, let's go and move on to the next one. Okay, so for this one, we have a game against Evil Twins, or Live Twins here. That's another deck I actually need to go back. That might just be the next one I show, actually. Well, no, I definitely have some others in mind. Definitely want to get back to Live Twins in the relatively near future, though. I do like that deck very much. So we're going to go second this time. We've got an Imperm, though, so we do have at least some amount of disruption, and it looks like Imperm is going to be a pretty good pick to have here, especially with that Crossout Designator going to 1 now. That's another reason why I think running like Veilers and Imperms, particularly Imperms actually, is really strong in this format. Not only because it you know, obviously is good against a lot of the top decks, or the decks that are more likely to be played right now, but also with Crossout Designator going to 1, called by once again, I say once again, Crossout Designator was at 3 before, but like, you know, kind of before Crossout Designator started getting so widely used in Master Duel, because there was that time like towards the very beginning where it didn't seem like too many people were using it. You know, Call By was the main kind of disruption stopper, and it could really only be used on hand traps because it can only banish a monster that's in the graveyard, right? But, you know, with something like Imperm, you have to use Crossout Designator to stop it. Well, with that at 1, you know, Imperm and Droplet, things of that nature kind of become more effective removal, or not removal necessarily, but disruption as a result. So yeah, this time we did remember to throw out the Gryphon Rider before going into our plays here, which, or no, sorry, we did that during the end of the opponent's turn. But either way, it's going to be nice here because the opponent specifically used Solemn Judgment. Now it's going to be much easier to go for lethal with the Gryphon Rider on the board. Basically, I'm just going to use the Lampsies here as a material, burn for 500, and then that'll let me have exact lethal here with the Leola being at 500 as well. I can just turn the Gryphon Rider to attack mode and then attack with both. And if somehow, for some reason, that doesn't work, or I get disrupted, again, somehow, some way, yeah, we could still just continue on with the Prank-Kids line from there. We could have, you know, sent the Doodle, gotten our stuff back. And then, oh, you know what, though? I wouldn't have been able to because the other one got an Impermed, right? So I wouldn't have been able to set up a Battle Butler, but I should have been able to set up a Verte for a DPE there. I don't think I'd used it that game, did I? Jeez. Sometimes these games run together for me when I go back and do it. No, yeah, I hadn't used a DPE line there, so that still would have been able to set up a DPE line with the Gryphon Rider on board there. So, yeah, that's kind of, you know, that is one thing about Prank-Kids that hasn't changed too much, is just the fact that, like, if nothing else, you can just still default into a DPE line. And in that way, this deck has still a nice consistency and resilience about it. The resilience, again, is hampered by the fact that Meow has gone to 1. Obviously, that is less than ideal, but it doesn't change, I think, the fact that the deck still has a lot of potential to, you know, take you pretty far on the ladder, and it's just a good deck competitively. So we do have one more game to watch. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. All right, so the last game of the video here is going to be yet another game against Flyanderies. A little bit more popular, I guess, than I expected it to be. I don't know, maybe Flyanderies will prove to be tier 2 a little bit earlier on after all. I thought it was going to start in tier 3 and then maybe kind of work its way up to, or no, sorry. I did have, I'm just remembering back to my tier list. I think I did have it in tier 2 and then eventually working its way down to tier 3. So I think that's right. So anyway, opponent's going to respond to our Rite of Aramesir with the Dimension Shifter. Definitely gives them away as the Flyanderies here. I'm not really too concerned. Well, obviously I'm concerned that obviously I can't do my like Prank-Kids line here, but I can still set up the Gryphon Rider, and I'll even get rid of the Nibiru here because, again, it's a Dimension Shifter, so I'm very confident that it's just going to be Flyanderies. And between the Gryphon Rider and the Imperm, I'm also pretty confident that the Flyanderies, whatever they do, they're not going to give you too much trouble here. So the Dualities reveal the Eaglin, the MSC of all cards, and then a Book of Moon, I think it was. But, okay, here they add the MSC. No, it was a callback rather. So they add the MSC with the pod duality, and then I remember during the actual game they did actually pause here and think for a while, and I was thinking, okay, so I'm gonna have to obviously allow the MSC to resolve on my face down Imperm, and then just use the Gryphon Rider to negate whatever they try to summon, and just hope that's gonna work. But they actually didn't activate the MSC here on the face down card. I feel like that's the perfect chance. I feel like I'm really, I guess, kind of confused by that. I thought that's what they added it for. Maybe they just forgot to, or like misclicked or something, or forgot to activate it first. But either way, they do summon Rabina first, and especially because I know they have the MSC in hand. I mean, either way, you know, I would want to Imperm, you know, rather than use Gryphon Rider here. But again, especially knowing they have the MSC in hand, definitely want to use up the Imperm here. They've got their Crossout to try to counter, but I'll just I'll Gryphon Rider the Crossout. I'm totally cool with that. So is anything to stop the Rabina basically, because of course, as always with Flyanderies, that's going to not only stop their search, but also from, you know, it'll stop them from making the rest of their play. It'll stop them from being able to like normal summon it all. So I would lead with the Draco back here. But they actually end up MSCing the Fateful Adventure, which is definitely annoying, but not the end of the world either. From here, I can then activate the Prank-Kids Place to search a Fansies, and then start going for a Prank-Kids setup. Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely going to obviously battle over the Rabina. Don't want to bounce it with the Draco back and give it back to my opponent to normal summon again later. I mean, they're going to be able to bounce it back anyway, but, well, I guess not, because they decided to concede from that point forward, which is interesting to me because, like, I don't know, I feel like Prank-Kids, one of their weaknesses is they don't really OTK that easily, and I'm very certain I did not have an OTK line there. I'm trying to think with the Gryphon, no, even with, like, not the Gryphon Rider, just the Adventure token in general. Even with that, honestly, I did not expect myself to be able to find lethal there. So, I mean, I guess to be fair, it was a connect fail, but I don't know. Sometimes you see these connect fails and it ends up being like a rage just quit. So, who knows? I guess who knows if that was the case. But, yeah, I do think my opponent should have stuck around because, yes, I would have gotten the Prank-Kids line into a good bit of damage and into a Battle Butler setup, which would have been difficult for my opponent to come back from. Again, I just was not as close to lethal as I think maybe some people assumed I might have been right there. But in any case, yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for the games. Let's now go ahead and move on to the outro. Alright, I want to thank everyone for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That does mean a whole lot to me, not only personally, but as a means of supporting the channel. Yeah, so Adventure Prank-Kids, after playing with them a little bit, I'm fairly confident in my assessment that they're a solid tier 2 deck. They might not be quite as low of a tier 2 deck as I thought they would be initially. And I saw that expressed in the comments of the tier list kind of post-ban list meta video that I did there. A lot of people were saying Prank-Kids are still going to be tier 1 still. I don't know quite about that. Just from playing with them and also from what I could tell doing the little bit of research I did, it seemed like in the OCG after Meow Moo got limited, the Prank-Kids kind of started to slowly decline down the tier list. I expect, especially once the branded stuff comes out, I expect we'll continue to see that trend here in Master Duel as well, but I do think for the time being, Adventure Prank-Kids right now are definitely still a very solid tier 2 deck. That is my current stance, I guess, on where we're at with them right now. So, yeah, if you invested in the deck for the, when the adventure stuff came out, or like for the Duelist Cup or whatever, I saw a few comments kind of saying that they built that deck for the Duelist Cup because of my videos, which is very flattering. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But, don't necessarily despair just because the deck got hit. It's still a very solid deck to play with. I mean, it's definitely a deck you can get to Diamond 1 with easy. So, well, easy, it's going to depend on, how well you know the deck and you know, how well you're able to pilot the deck. But that's, I guess, true of any deck out there. So suffice it to say though, I don't think Prank-Kids has lost a significant enough amount of power that we should just completely write them off. Again, they are less weak, or they are less powerful. They are more weak, I should say, and that is something to note. But at the same time, it is not something to dismiss them as a whole, as a deck. So yeah, like I said, thankful for those who are watching to the very end like this, as well as those who are commenting and subscribing. Those are also good ways to support the channel. Comments I especially love to see, especially as we're moving into this new season and I'm experimenting with these new builds. Definitely, as always, let me know what you think of the build, and if you have any suggestions, do not be shy at all about making them. I'm all about community-based learning. Like, I don't like to see myself as like a singular instructor here. In that regard, I think of this more of like our channel as just my channel, or rather than my channel. So yeah, especially those of you, because again, I like to bounce between so many different decks. Those of you who like know a particular deck very well, so all Prank-Kids fans, all the diehard Prank-Kids out there, would definitely love to hear from you about the build and the gameplay. But yeah, I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. So once again, thank you very much for watching. This is Xlex. I'm signing out. Hope you have a fantastic day.